These two players, they've been facing off against each other pretty much every single week this year so far. They keep consistently delivering some very funny games because they are so familiar with each other's playstyle. First off, they play against each other all the time. They're teammates as well, so I wouldn't be surprised that they at the very least also play a bunch of custom games against each other. Maybe they even face off against one another in ladder games too. I decided to look it up. So far in 2023, they have played 19 tournament matches against one another. And this particular series, it was played in week 25. So it was played, well, as of me casting it a couple of days ago. From what I've heard, it's once again an absolute banger. This series is the finals of the Korean StarCraft League, number 16. First off, spawning right here in the top left-hand corner, playing with the red Zerg drones. Going for a 14 hatch, it seems. We're looking inside of the main base of Dark. Was that a 14 hatch? It must have been. His opponent in the opposite corner, playing right here with a new portrait on his Nexus. That is CEST. We're definitely not looking, though, inside of the main base of CEST. We're looking inside of the main base of Hero. Interesting. I have never seen anybody have that portrait spinning around. Oh, I thought actually his eyes were rolled all the way up, but I guess his pupils are just very bright. Interesting. CEST, of course, one of the most fun Protoss players to watch. He's currently doing his mandatory military service over in South Korea, and apparently Hero decided to honor him by having him spin around on the main Nexus. There's probably some sort of meme going on there that I don't quite catch, but that's okay. What in the world is this? So, these two, they play against each other so often that they oftentimes try to play suboptimal strategies just to try and catch the opponent off guard, right? And this pylon over here is certainly something I would label suboptimal. I mean, if I see this on the ladder, I will immediately start thinking about a Baneling Nest. Maybe I will be able to control my emotions, right? And I won't be going for a Baneling Bust right away. But this looks so incredibly vulnerable. Then again, Dark also knows that his opponent knows that he knows that they know that he knows that he... And there's a bunch of bluffing going on in these sort of games as well. There's a good chance that Dark is looking at this. He realizes, okay, that's not really what you should be doing. But I'm also not gonna take the bait, because there's a very good chance that you're doing this on purpose just to try and throw me off. And honestly, at this point, I'm not exactly sure if Dark can really do a... Well, I mean, it's a Stargate follow-up, right? So by the time he actually goes for some sort of Baneling Bust, there's probably gonna be an Oracle out already. We'll have to look at that Oracle movement. I'm curious to see if Hero is gonna be sending it straight across the map. There's definitely a chance he's gonna keep it at home for a little bit, just in case it would be a Baneling Bust. But maybe he's gonna fly it around over here too. I wouldn't be surprised if he's gonna check the sights right there. Almost baiting his opponent into some sort of cheese. None of that is happening though so far in this game. We've got ourselves a standard opener here from Dark, other than the timing of that very first hatchery. He's decided to go for a third base nice and early here as well. The 14 supply hatch is actually kind of interesting. So the 14 supply hatchery is a big indicator that he doesn't want to get his natural expansion blocked, but he also doesn't want to be going for that Eric-esque opener, right? The build order with the extractor trick that Sarah has been favoring in a lot of his games. Which is kind of interesting. Yeah, so Dark is adjusting. He's just adjusting in a different way. Okay, here's the Oracle. Nah, we're just gonna send it straight across the map. I guess he's seen the amount of links of his opponent and he's been scouting around the back of the mineral line here too, so he probably knows that there's no Baneling Nest here coming up. So why did we go for the pylon over here? The pylon. I mean, I don't even know if the Adept can actually block this, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Maybe if the Adept, if she like spreads around her arms, right? If she stretches them out to her side, she like T-poses in the wall. I've got a feeling there's still a little bit of space over there. Warp gates finishing up. Third Nexus has started up as well. By 345, I believe, on that third Nexus, which is maybe 350 or so. Definitely a good timing to make that base. Not a whole lot that Dark can do about it. I mean, he's gonna try, because, you know, Dark makes anywhere between like 4 and 40 Zerglings at this start in the game, and in Zerg versus Protoss, he doesn't really try to really optimize his early game that much. I mean, I say that, right? A lot of Zerg players will be looking at the exact information that they have and then decide, okay, in this scenario, I need precisely 8 Zerglings. And in this scenario, I will need 12. And if I see my opponent going for a third chrono boost, I will go ahead and make 16, right? I'm just throwing out numbers. Dark will, oftentimes, at the very least, he doesn't strike me as a guy who's really doing the math on any of that. He will just hold down the Zergling button and he will enjoy and manage with however many he managed to get at that point. I mean, he hit a small little supply block at 36 out of 36, and now it's 74 out of 74 as well. Yeah, Dark... Is it by design? I mean, he hit a supply block right around the same time that he wants to go for an Evo, a Roach Warren, and an Extractor. But 4 Overlords at once definitely does not seem like the very best way, well, to play this game. In the meantime, though, this is actually turning out to be a pretty normal game. Hero has decided to go for the Blink upgrade, together with the +1 ground weapons as well. So, it's gonna be that quick Blink Stalker on the back of this. 1 pylon in the main base to bind them, and in the darkness find them over here. A little bit dangerous, but what exactly? Well, I mean, against Dark, you never know. He could be sending his queens across the map. He could be making a Nidus network already at this point in the game. I would double up on the pylons if I were him, but that's okay. Okay, let's see. What's the plan? Ooh, there it is. A Spire's coming up. Interesting. I actually don't remember the last time I've seen Muta play from Dark. I mean, probably not that long ago, because I do cast a lot of Dark games, but I feel like he's not really a Muta man. Dark's very much so a Nidus man and a Queen man, but he's not really a Muta man in my mind. He's even more of a Hydra man, I feel like, than a Muta man. Is Hero gonna scout this? Honestly, this is kind of nice for him. Yeah, actually going for an attack right now, so he's even doubling down here with a gateway. Going for an attack right now is actually really good. This is the moment in the match where Dark wants to be saving up as much gas as possible, but now he's forced into Ravagers, and I think he's gonna have to make more units too. I mean, if he doesn't respect this, it's game over. Yeah, that 4th hatch is gonna be in a lot of trouble. We have Queens and Zerglings and a misfire right there on the Rock Tower. Maybe not quite ideal. But yeah, look at it. He's going for 12 additional Roaches right now. He really wants to be saving up gas. And in the meantime, well, Dark's not going to be able to get his gas. Looks like we had a few Adepts over there too, or something along those lines to kill a bunch of the drones. Mostly just a distraction though, as they now do end up sniping that hatchery here on the left side of the map. Okay. Are we going to go for a 4th base here, Hero? Or are we actually just thinking we can win the game? I don't think you can win the game here. Nah, a little bit overly ambitious, that's for sure. Hero actually taking a page out of Zet's book by saving up a lot of money, huh? He's sitting at like 2,000 okay, no, 2,000 resources in total. Maybe that's why Hero has decided to switch to the Zest portrait. God, that bothered me so much in Zest games, though. He would oftentimes be doing these attacks and he would just completely forget to warp in and sit on like 2,000 resources for no apparent reason. Anyways, apparently what Hero is spending his money on for the time being is, well, now he's back down to basically 0, but no Robo Bay, no Robo Tech at all. As a matter of fact, we're just going straight into a Fleet Beacon together with a Stargate, a 2nd Stargate, that is. So he's decided to go straight into Skytals. We do have some Mutas out right now. So apparently, yeah, Dark managed to smash his gas piggy bank. He's trying to sneak those Mutas out on the left side of the screen. Not bad at all. Okay. Gonna force that Rock Tower down. Fair enough. Here go the Mutas. Flapping their little wings. Is there anything inside of the main base to protect it? No. There's a photon cannon in the 3rd, but nothing in the main or in the natural. This expansion over here, though, once again, in a little bit of trouble. I wouldn't mind seeing another base going up all the way at the 12 o'clock position. Another Force Council over there. In the meantime, the Mutas have arrived in the main base. Recall's going to be used on basically all of the Stalkers. They're going to be able to get back home. How much damage can Dark do? I feel like he needs to kill at least a dozen workers to justify all of this. The lack of a 4th base at this point is really starting to hurt him. At the very least, though, yeah, normally this wouldn't really be something you scout already, but at the very least he did see the transition towards Stargates. Although this is a bit funky. There are a lot of games where we see Zerg players playing Hydraling Bane against a ground Protoss, and then as soon as they see a Skytals transition, they throw down a, well, a Spire, right, to go into Corruptor play. Dark already had a Spire in this game, then he scouts that his opponent is going Skytals, and then he decides to go Hydras instead? Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't think that's optimal, but I might be mistaken. One big advantage... Oh my god, he's all army hotkeying again. One big advantage here is that we do have the really quick +1 air weapons, which is incredibly powerful for Protoss. I hope he's gonna go straight into +2 as well, because +2 is where those carrier ships, those interceptors, they really pop off. There we go. Straight into the +2. Super nice upgrade. Yeah, if you see this coming in so early, though, you'd really imagine that the Zerg would go straight into Corruptor play with, well, Spire upgrades, but Muta's over here, trying their very best to get something done. Carriers pop as well at the perfect moment. So, very good situation right here for Hero. Now, it's a good situation. Is it a game-winning one? We are getting to the point where his army is looking mighty scary, but when you're investing this much in technology and into structures and all that, it is difficult to max out. I mean, with just pure Stalker and whatnot, it's much easier to pull that off. It's gonna be a moment, so for the time being, at the very least, Zerg gets to do whatever they like. And apparently what Dark likes here is a second Evo Chamber, a Lurker Den, he's got Vipers coming up, and he's gone for the Infestor Energy upgrade. So Dark has decided the strategy he wants to play is the one that requires 4 arms. It's gonna be Roach, Ravager, Hydra, Lurker, Queen, Corruptor... No, not Corruptors. Viper, Infestor. All of those units, and Spore Crawlers, I suppose. All of those units, except for the unit that we normally see against Skytools, and that would be the Corruptor. Which is... strange, to put it lightly. Double Robo Facility here as well, in the back of the 4th base of the Protoss player. This could be in case Zerg decides to go into Ultras or something like that, which is one of the 3 units that Dark, well, is not planning on making in this game, it seems. Good stasis, yeah. He's got a lot of roaches still. I don't think he really wants to have roaches anymore at this point in the game, so I wouldn't be surprised if he decides to go for a lot of aggression here moving forward. Because you really do want to start trading out these low-tier Zerg units with some higher-tier ones, although abductions? There you go. Fair enough. That's 3 carriers down the drain. Dark making it look easy. Stalkers in the meantime up north. We don't have any Templar for feedback or anything like that. We don't have any Disruptors either. So even though the Stalkers are getting... Okay. I really would have assumed he would have moved a little bit to the right, but he hoped the Stasis Ward would save him. And apparently that's the case. Okay, now we're gonna go to the Robo Bay together with the Immortal production. Yeah. What a funky game. I mean, I like what Hero is doing a lot more than what Dark is doing in this game, but Dark oftentimes shines in these very chaotic situations, so we'll see how this goes. The really quick Skytools transition, though, is pretty awesome. We don't see a lot of Skytools in general right now in the current meta. Yeah, so we're sacrificing the Roaches and the Ravagers. I don't think this is the most efficient trade, but he just needs to replace them with higher tier units here, and apparently some of them even managed to stay alive. In the meantime, we've got a little Hydra counterattack over here too. So I did see the Pathogen Glance upgrade, right? Yeah. That's the Infestor Energy upgrade. We just haven't had any Infestors. He hasn't invested into any of those. Okay, well, good catch over there. Those Lurkers were coming in. Now we've got, yeah, there you go, a High Templar available too. Getting some damage done. No splits right here on the Oracles. Okay, well, in the meantime, we do have, once again, a bunch of abductions, but there's a lot of damage here coming out of these Protoss units. That being said, though, Hero is not really in a position where he can very easily replace all of those units he just lost, whereas Zerg can, of course, remax much quicker. Very chaotic fight there. I'm really not sure why Hero decided to dive that deep. I mean, he had 1 High Templar for feedback, which is nice, but there were 3 Vipers. So I'm not exactly sure what he expected. I mean, he managed to get the feedback off on that 1 Viper that was leading the charge. But, like, you knew that there were multiples, right? Why commit when you only have... It's okay. It's okay. Storm coming up right now. Hatchery. Protoss Hatchery on the right side as well. Stalkers once again up north. These guys are basically just throwing stuff at the wall, and they hope that something sticks. Here's Dark's favorite unit composition coming right up. Very difficult to control these units, by the way, at the same time. I've been trying that... Well, I've talked about this in many videos in the past, but this is... Both Infestors and Vipers, man, it's very difficult. On paper, it's probably the strongest way to play. But in realistic games, genuinely, if you're a mortal with 10 or maybe less fingers, it's gonna be hard. My working theory right now is that the Zerg pro gamers have a second mouse and keyboard on the floor, and they use their feet and their, you know, toes to somehow, some way create some additional control group. All jokes aside, actually, I remember hearing some about this in a previous StarCraft tournament. You know those gaming foot pedals? I know there's a bunch of companies that make them, right? Where you have like a foot pedal. I remember a pro gamer asking whether or not they could use that as a USB plug-in device for additional control groups. So say, for example, I don't know, you're a Protoss player. Say you have a foot pedal hotkey for your War Prison. I was like, huh, that's actually not a bad idea. That actually sounds pretty sick. Because that's one of those units you usually want to have around, but making a separate control group for it can be a little bit tricky. Anyways, here we go. Dark setting up a nice little attack over here, getting the fumble, getting 2 of those High Templar. Really lovely work. Look at Dark coming forward with all the spellcasters. Couple Hydras, couple Queens, abductions, fungal growths. How does the man do it? I don't know. In the meantime, there's also, of course, because there's only one fight going on. Come on. Just have higher APM. He's also pushing over here on the right side of the map. Now, are these fights particularly great for him? Well, the fight on the left certainly was. I think this engagement here on the right side definitely is not ideal. He does kill a lot of probes, though. Okay, don't lose the disruptors. Okay, he does lose the disruptors. There's a purification nova. You know what? I was criticizing the Hydra Roach run by over here because I assumed that hero was going to clean them up, but I think he pulled his units away a little bit too quickly because he's trying to clean up this mess over here on the left side. Tempests are being added on here as well. Both players just trying to remax to the best of their abilities. Those, okay. Purification Novas once again get launched, but they're not going to be able to bowl a strike here on all of those lurkers. Now we're going to go into Corruptors. But we don't have any upgrades on the Corruptors, so I'm not convinced that it's the right call. Especially since Protoss really only has a bunch of carriers. Or, sorry, one carrier even. And a whole bunch of Tempest. Which I feel like against Tempest, Hydras are probably a much more playable choice. What a messy game. Units are coming in from every side right now. That one hero Immortal here at the bottom as well, trying to just get as many kills in as possible. Purification Novas are rolling around. My god, what a disaster here over. These guys, man. There's something about watching these two compete. They bring out both the best, but also the worst in one another. I really don't see why Dark decided to chase that army off creep with lurkers when he knew that there were, well, Archons, Immortals, and then also Disruptors out. Like, best case scenario, your opponent doesn't pay attention and you burrow right next to him and you lose about half your lurkers in the process. Worst case scenario, though, you are putting out 17 fires at the same time. And you get a couple Disruptors that just murder everything. I guess in Dark's mind, that's a skill issue. But these traits are so good for a hero that he is happy to keep making them. Dark has decided to take the base here in the bottom left-hand corner. In case you're taking notes, as a Protoss player, try to not fight on creep. As a Zerg player, never try to not fight on creep, okay? These are good bits of advice, I think. Maybe you're getting the wrong vibe from watching these guys compete against one another, but... Okay. Dark was given about 12 units to play with, and he's gonna play with all 12 of them. Dang it. I guess we haven't seen Banelings here. We haven't seen Swarm Host. What unit? Brute Lords and Ultras, I guess. What other unit have we not seen? I think that's really about it. I think he's basically played every single Zerg unit. Overseers. Have we had Overseers? We must have had at least one Overseer at some point, no? Ah, yeah. 3 Overseers in total. Fair enough. Base in the top right-hand corner now acquired as well by Hero. Who's definitely in a good spot, but not necessarily a game-winning one. What a banger of a game to start off with, by the way. This is a best-of-5 series. I might be here for a while. We need some detection. Hero, we need some detection. There's still some spines coming out of the floor. There's the observer. Moving forward. Apparently that lurker gets spared for now because his attention was split off to the base in the top right. That did get cancelled. 21 probes have gone down. And what just a couple of minutes was a significant hero advantage is now slowly starting to tip in favor of Dark. A lot of probes have gone down, actually. Yeah, only 40-something now remain. Alright, Hero smashing his piggy bank. He's getting however many carriers as he can afford right now. Hydra's once again coming up. These guys are fast, eh? I feel like there's engagements happening all over the map for most of the game. Now keep in mind, stamina is a very real thing in a game of StarCraft 2. Especially when you're playing a series. Plus, this is the finals of the Korean StarCraft League. So these two have already played probably about a dozen games getting here. Maybe even more. There's a moment where these games become incredibly exhausting. Especially if it's a game number 1 of a best of 5. So even though you might be feeling like, hey, I am maybe not winning this game, it might still be worth playing it out. Anyways, we're gonna recall about half of that army. We're leaving a lot of Protoss units behind. The recall was used right here. Microbial Shroud! Okay, the recall was used right here to bring as many of those units back home as he could fit in the circle. Here's actually now a little surround being set up as well. Purification Nova does go off just a second. Well, actually, no, less than a second. Before the Disruptor would have died, and apparently that seals the deal. It's Hero who gets the win in game number 1. Next up, we find ourselves on altitude. Dark decided to go for a 16 supply hatchery this time around, and believe it or not, there was a probe blocking his natural expansion, so he was forced. Look at that. The thief also stole 5 minerals. Anyways, he decided to go for the 3rd hatchery right here first. Stargate opener once again for Hero, so altitude is of course the largest map in the current map pool, so even though we see Stargate openers 9 times out of 10 anyways on a map like this, it's probably closer to 10 times out of 10, because it's a lot of terrain that you need to cover, and any other opener just doesn't really give you as much flexibility, right? It's really difficult. Anyways, a couple of links do manage to sneak in. A little bit annoying. There's only one adept here to protect. So at the very least, the Stargate opener here gets scouted, but that really can't come as much of a surprise. He's trying to get a probe. He wants to get that probe really bad, but I don't think it's gonna happen. That adept. She's got that killer look. And there you go. Okay. So how many links are we gonna produce this time around, Dark? Only about 8 in total. Okay. 2 adepts available. Yeah, it's scary. Shading them out on the map at this point. I mean, you know that link speed is done. You know you're playing against Dark. You know there could be 30 Zerglings right outside your front door, and that's basically game over. He's now gonna see roughly the amount of links available. Actually, I think he saw them, but no 3rd Nexus taken just yet. Now the probe is moving out. Oracle number 1 arrived in the natural expansion of the Zerg. We're gonna try and see if we can get some damage done. 1 drone, 2 drone, 3 drone. Flies into the hands of Brenda. Not ideal. It's a lot of damage taken right there on that Oracle. I actually don't think that's... Yeah, he should have probably settled for 2 kills there. I think that would have been a little bit better. Anyways, better than losing it, I suppose. 3rd Nexus does go down here eventually, and, well, everything is relatively normal once again. I'm actually surprised with how quote-unquote normal these games are. At least as far as the opener goes, okay? The middle to later stages of that previous game, they were certainly not the ordinary style we see. Quick +1 melee, this time around right here from Dark. I mean, to be fair, going for a Queen March on this map would be really difficult to pull it off. I don't think that's really something you can do. Once again, 3 Overlords are coming up. Dark consistently makes early game mistakes. I don't really understand why. He plays a lot of games. He definitely knows how to do it too. It really does feel like oftentimes he barely cares about playing the early game. It almost feels like sometimes he gets a little bit bored. Like when you see him play offline events, he plays a lot cleaner than during these online tournaments. I'm not exactly sure as to why that is. Like, a lot of it is probably autopilot, right? So he's just not really thinking about it all too much, but we see him hitting little supply blocks, forced to, like, make overlords. It is definitely a little bit sloppy, and yet he wins the majority of his games anyways, so it is what it is. Quick +1 and a charge this time around for Hero. So even though it's a large map and Blink is really good here, he's gonna go for a bit of a different follow-up this time around. Now I wonder if that's due to the fact that he has already spotted the evolution chamber upgrade. So he must realize at this point that it should be +1 melee. That's really the only reason to go for such a quick Evo chamber. Normally the Evo chamber would be coming up right about, well, maybe a half minute ago to a minute ago. But Dark already is finishing up that upgrade. Roach Warren is coming up too, though. So it's gonna be Ling Bane, Roach Ravager, more than likely. Although, once again, he could definitely go into Mutas. He could definitely go into a Nidus Worm. He could definitely go into Swarm Host if he really wants to, but I honestly doubt that one. It's gonna be a Roach Ravager, Ling Bane. This is the style that Serral plays most often in his Zerg versus Protoss, so I'm inclined to imagine that that's the superior way to play. Okay, so charge is done. He's attempting to go for a 4th Nexus here on the right side too. The Ling at the very least is still around. Okay, now it sees that charge indeed is done. Yeah, it's important now for Dark that he makes a lot of units, because he needs something to protect against this particular attack, right? So, +1 melee is actually, +1 ground weapons rather for Protoss is really nice, because the Zerglings now die to 2 attacks from the Zealot rather than the conventional, well, 3 strikes, so you can definitely snipe those Lings a lot easier. All of these Protoss units, though, are amazing at just Zerglings, so I wouldn't really criticize Hero too much if he decides to at least try attack, but so far mostly just playing this defensively, going into a robotics bay. So there's +2 coming up, but no Blink. 4th Nexus here taken on the left side of the map instead. 2nd Robo as well. So what exactly are we? We're just doing a little bit of a Zealot drop. Yeah, but a Zealot drop without like a frontal attack at the same time is not nearly as scary. Okay. So Dark must realize at this point that there is a Nexus taken here on the left side. He's already seen it. Oracle here trying to get some damage in. 12 drones in total actually is not bad at all. Here's the Prism. But yeah, it's just 4 Zealots in the main base and there's nothing else, right? So you can't really get a whole lot of damage down here. Quick +1 air weapons once again here for Hero. So he's basically saying, yo, I'm once again ready to play Skytools. He hasn't actually gone for any Skytools units yet other than the Oracle. And the Oracle is the only Skytools unit that does not benefit from this upgrade. So he's definitely got something in store here. Or maybe he's got a bit of money in the bank and he's like, yo, I may as well get this because it's altitude. We already played a pretty long game previously. We're likely to play a long game again over here too then. Dark making 7 Overlords, 8 Overlords at a 180 supply. Like, he's gonna have supply up to 250 Zerg units, and don't think we're really gonna get that far, other than maybe with, well, pure Ling. A lot of Banelings coming up though. I think Hero wants to make a Skytools transition here, yeah, but he also realizes that there's a good chance he's gonna see a big attack here coming out of the Zerg very soon. So he's not getting carried away here. Trying to be at least somewhat safe about this all. Okay, good Purification Nova to start off with, but the Zerg army is very large. There's a lot more units coming on the back of this too. 2 probes have gone down so far, that's definitely not too much. Okay, a few disruptors getting a bit overly adventurous. I'm not exactly sure where the Prism is located. Probes have already returned back to mining. By the way, big disruptor purification over there. Is there enough for Protoss to clean all of this up? I mean, I'm not convinced that he does have enough. He really should have brought this Prism back home, I believe, to pick up some of those wounded Protoss units. Okay, instead the reinforcing units are supposed to clean all of this up. Probes also decided to come very quickly back towards that mineral line and... yeah, now we're starting up carriers. If we're starting up carriers right now, we're basically saying, yo, this base, it's super gone, and I'm not sure if I can even hold on to my natural eater. Again, not the cleanest defense. But I see the same thing happening for Hero. Like, whenever he plays against somebody that's not dark, he seems to play a little bit cleaner overall. Yeah, so now we attempted to go with the Prism in the main base, but the Queens were waiting. If we would have loaded those units out, you know, while that fight was going on, there's a good chance that Dark was too distracted and maybe they got some damage in. Right now, we're likely just gonna rinse and repeat. That said, though, there's no Protoss unit here that, or no Zerg unit here, rather, that can really kill these Protoss units that are up in the skies. And carriers, maybe 2 of them is not that scary, but once we go up to 4, you really do need to start making something that can shoot up. Dark sitting at 73 workers, which is much more than the Protoss, but definitely not a phenomenal economy. Okay, now the carriers get spotted. Banelings over here, running for the mineral line. Disruptors over here, getting some decent connections in as well. Carriers just picking up kill after kill after kill after kill. Almost a disaster. Okay, this fight actually going much better. So now we do see, not a Hydra transition, now we do see a Spire coming up. Like I was suggesting in the previous game. In the previous game, when Dark saw that his opponent had a Skytools transition, he decided to go Hydras when he already had a Spire. Which yeah, I don't know. I can't quite wrap my head around that. Even though the first Harpoons with the Vipers were very good. I think the Corruptors probably would have done a better job, but... Anyways. This is actually giving a hero a lot of time to breathe, though. Is he gonna go for another base? If there ever was a moment to go for another base, right now would be the time. Considering he's not, I've got a feeling he may very well opt to go for some sort of all-in. Because he must realize at this point that a Spire is coming, so he's buying himself, well, about a Spire's duration amount of time. And they do take quite a while to finish. Okay. Dark has, by the way, not really added on any additional workers here. So he's got a decent eco. 76 drones, 75 drones. It's not bad, but it's also really nothing to write home about. Hero has definitely been more cost efficient with the second trade that we just saw. Yeah, so overall the game is pretty even, which is why Dark is ahead. Okay, we do have another base here coming up on the right side of the map. We don't have Storm, we don't have Blink. It's just gonna be Archons and Carriers. And Disruptors, of course. Don't underestimate the Disruptors, but... It's actually looking like a pretty scary Protoss army, though. Very gas-heavy Protoss army. A few more Templar coming up. We're gonna morph those into Archons, too. I think he doesn't know... Yeah, he's gonna morph in another Archon. He doesn't know if there's, like, Infestors or Vipers or anything like that coming up. None of that is the case, by the way, and this Zerg army is not nearly as scary without it. Okay. Yeah. Good push. So, as long as Hero manages to max out here eventually, his army is going to be significantly more powerful. Right, so army supply you can see here at the bottom of the screen. Hero is slightly behind in that department, but he's certainly in a fantastic position when it comes to fighting this particular Zerg composition. Okay, another Purification Nova. Denied, though. Oracle's flying a little too far forward. Do we have enough Archons underneath to prevent these Corruptors from killing literally everything? There's no Blink, nothing else available. Okay, the Carriers are trying to target fire down whatever they can. Not really a lot of micro there coming out of Hero. Okay, there we go. He does eventually start pulling them back one at a time. Roaches and Lynx do manage to get the better end of that fight on the ground. And I do think, yeah, that Dark is going to be able to obtain the victory here. Dragon Skills. Game 3. Dark once again opting to go for a 14 supply hatchery. So he goes for a 13 supply Overlord. Makes one more drone, and then he goes for the hatchery at 14. Apparently that is a guarantee to not get your natural expansion blocked. Which is kind of interesting. Anyways, once again, we've got ourselves a Stargate opener here from Hero. Lynx running around. Are we going to be able to block the third for a little bit? Apparently so. I mean, yeah, I was going to say, if it's only one Ling, getting a pylon is not bad. This is actually super annoying for the Zerg player. He can just cancel that pylon, get the majority of his money back, and... if he can save the probe, which he can, I think that's well worth it. Third hatchery now taken here in the horizontal position instead. Alrighty. Currently, by the way, preparing a few videos in advance. This one is gonna go up, I think, in about 3 days from me recording it. Maybe 4 days, something like that. I'll be heading on over to Germany in a couple days' time to cast Home Story Cup again. It's gonna be a lot of fun. If you're there, definitely come out and say hi to me. Always a lot of StarCraft people that come to watch the tournament. Very relaxed atmosphere, actually. If you're ever in the neighborhood, I do definitely recommend visiting a Home Story Cup if you can, because fun tournament for sure. So I've been in the process of prepping some videos in advance. Really? Okay, well, only a handful of links, yeah. Okay, Oracle now showing up as well. 6 drones have gone down at the cost of, well, 2 Oracles, I guess, essentially, and some HP right there on the Oracle. That's not bad at all, as long as you can secure the third. Third base does come up right here for the Protoss player. That's actually very cute. Nice movement right there by Hero. He may be forced to leave one of those Oracles at home right now, though, for a little bit, because, yeah, he needs to kill these Lings if they decide to commit. Good SimCity there, of course. Target firing down as many of those Lings as possible. There was an Adept as well in the natural, of course. We're not all army hotkeying yet. Oh, God, okay. Dark just going for a Ling Bane bust. Now, maybe he's looking at his early game. He's like, yo, you've given me 2 Adepts and I've lost too many drones, so let's fight. But this is basically gonna, yeah, force a lot more drone losses. 31 workers right now for the Zerg versus 45 for the Protoss. The problem with this attack is that, yeah, even if you kill the Protoss third base, like, they're still in a fine position. You should cancel, actually. Hero should cancel. Yeah. And now we're gonna go back home. We're satisfied with that. We're satisfied with 34 versus 47 workers. Okay. I don't believe that I am. I'll be honest with you, Dark. Interesting. I don't think that was ideal. Now, is he gonna double down? I sure hope not, because he really needs to get some drones going. Protoss has decided, now this is another questionable decision though. Protoss has decided this is the moment apparently to go 7 Gateway Blink with +1. This is a build we used to see in 2011, okay? Back before players were good at the game. We do, by the way, have a bit of a double down here. I really don't like this half-committed Ling Bane bust. Because in the end, I mean, yeah, you do kill a couple of the units here, but I don't think that's really gonna be too great. Like, if you're gonna go for a Bane bust, you kind of have to go all in. There's no, like, oh, I'm gonna do a Baneling bust and then make a few drones and then do another couple of Banelings. That's not how it works. If you're gonna go for a Baneling bust, you're gonna go for a Baneling bust. This was Dark semi-committing to a Ling Bane all-in, and it puts him in a very awkward spot. So, I guess we're just going for a macro game from here? Double hatchery coming up. Lair on the back of this too. I think Hero should just go for a timing attack, to be honest. Yeah, just keep harassing wherever you can. Okay, that's a dead Oracle. He didn't know it yet himself, but... oh, God. I'm not sure what he expected there anyways. He knew where the queens were. He knew where the spore crawlers were. Decided to fly into them anyways. Okay. At least we still have one of them available, so that's nice. Revelation can still be helpful. Is there enough of a Zergling army right now to prevent this 4th base from falling? Imagine if there were 2 more Oracles here. Oh my God. No cancel on that base! What in the world, man? What time are these games played at? I feel like these games may be played at 4 in the morning, Korea time. Maybe actually 4 in the morning might be peak Hero and Dark time. I'm not exactly sure about their sleep schedules, but considering this is not a ping disadvantage for either 2-player, right? Like, they're definitely playing this on the Korean server. There is really no excuse for some of those mistakes we've seen. Either way, though, that does make it extra entertaining because these games tend to get very chaotic. Now, when it comes to players that are very good in those chaotic situations, I would actually say that Dark is the very best. Like no one ever was. Bow, 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 bow. A lot of Stalkers end up going down here. Still though, supply-wise, this is looking excellent right here for the South Korean Protoss player. Dank Templar on the back of this too. That's a unit we haven't seen yet in this series, have we? Queens and Lings. With mass Zergling upgrades. More Lings and Queens. Hive coming up on the back of this too. I think this is for the Adrenal Glands upgrade primarily. So he can make more Lings and Queens. Now Protoss has seen the mass Ling production. Units that are good against the Zergling are usually not Stalkers. You'd imagine maybe an Archon would be good, or maybe like a Zealot transition. For some reason, Hero is looking at the mass Ling style. He's like, you know what I need? Stalkers. I need more Stalkers. I love these units. They're my favorite. They're definitely, yeah, his favorite. Anyways, pulling back the creep as far as he can, or pushing back the creep, rather. Here's the Dank Templar, though. Coming up. Where are they? There they go. Oh, we're just gonna morph them into Archons? Okay. That I actually do quite like. Yeah, you know what? I thought we were gonna try and get a cheeky snipe right over here on that base on the left side, but instead, I guess we're gonna morph them into Archons. I think Archon, Stalker, already, yeah, a whole lot better. So Hive is gonna finish up. Is it just for Adrenal? Is that what we're doing? Or are we gonna go Ultras? Ultras would be... Okay, it is indeed Adrenal Glands. It's 40% attack speed for Zerglings, give or take. Prism here on the right side does get scouted. What in the world is the plan though, Mr. Dark? 94 Zerglings, 70 drones. There's the Ultra Cavern. Really? Maybe Dark is counting on his fingers the units that he hasn't actually made use of yet. Did he just produce another Oracle, by the way? Yeah, he's secking them. He's secking them. Yeah, he's gone up to 4 Oracles. 4 Oracles. Not bad. 25 drones have gone down right there in total. The majority of those units were killed by the Oracles. So even though I think he could have saved the majority of them, still got a good amount of kills. The Ultra Cavern here is interesting, though. There's already Immortals in the mix, so if you make Ultras into somebody who's already got Immortals, you're begging to basically get destroyed by that army, because that is... This Protoss army is significantly better than whatever Dark has made so far. I mean, you know, I would like to see him jumping this, I suppose. He doesn't even have Baneling speed. There's a little bit of a Ling run by. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, Adrenal Glands is going to kick in here as well in a moment. These Lings don't quite have it yet at this point. So this is a bunch of probes going down, but at the cost of a base. And then 5 drones apparently too. So still a very good trait right there for Hero. Who's only been upgrading, by the way, is his ground attacks. Another Ling Bane run by over here, or at least an attempted version of it. We do have an Archon there. Yeah, more Dark Templar. I mean, you can try. That's expensive though. A lot of those Stalkers are still alive. No chitinous plating yet either for the Ultralisks. So if he is gonna make them right now, they're just gonna get torn apart. Even by the Stalkers. Even the Stalkers would destroy Ultras here without full upgrades. I think we are witnessing Dark getting absolutely trashed here. I would love to believe. I mean, this is still a lot of Links though. A lot of more Zerglings coming in from the north. Speaking of units, though, that are coming in from the north right now, we have more Archons, more Zealots. Stasis Ward over there, too. I love how there's 2 Ultras on the production tab, by the way. Ancient Cistern, map 4. Dark, once again, opted to go for a hatchery first. This time around, there was once again a probe blocking it. So he doesn't get the hatchery first up in the natural. Instead, he gets at the third. But much like on altitude, you can actually get your third base going here kind of nicely. Because, well, creep tumors in this area, they're going to spread straight through the center of the map. And it's not as much of a distance to cover. So even though the third was taken first, I don't think that's really the end of the world. Adept should be here now. Adept actually not here right now. The probe will be left alone because Dark is assuming that there will be an Adept here very soon. Once again, a Stargate opener here from Hero. Yeah, the early game has been mostly the same in this series so far, but the follow-ups have been very strange, especially from the Zerg's point of view, though. Like, why did he decide just to go pure Ling Bane that previous game? Just Ling Bane Queen, and then that Queen March as well? That Queen March really didn't do anything for him, right? I mean, he did drone up kind of nicely after that. This is also, like, too many workers, though. I mean, it's one worker going down, but that's too many. Oracle once again on the back of this. This particular opener, I mean, I think we're gonna see it for the foreseeable future from Protoss, unless there's gonna be a balance update at some point. But I don't really see a situation where Oracle openers aren't gonna be the go-to, right? I mean, even though Zerg players have had like 2 years of practice against this Oracle opener now, and they've been seeing it in the vast majority of their games, they still take anywhere from like 0 to like 12 drone losses in the early stages of a game. So yeah, yeah, look at the creep spread, by the way. So this is kind of the advantage of taking this third base first. You get your creep going very aggressively in every direction. So if you're in the center of the map, well, you can spread your creep a lot easier in that direction too, right? So it's the reason why Dark has opted to go for this. Second Oracle has arrived over here on the other side of the map. In this game, only a single drone kill so far, and that was of course from that Adept. We do have another Queen in the main base. We have Spore over here too. Dark are ready to retarget, but we're gonna apparently settle for a little Stasis Ward. Excellent work. Follow-up Stasis Ward here as well. Okay. A little bit of a nuisance. A lot of lost mining time, actually. Okay. Twilight Council. Will we see Blink first? Will we see Charge first? Both options are excellent. Seems like most of the time Hero opts to go for the Blink upgrade first. There we go. There's the lair. 5-minute lair. Oracle here getting a couple kills as well over in the natural. 3 is a couple. I know one of you guys gets very bothered by that whenever I call, yeah, 3 a couple. There's always one angry guy in the comment section. It's like, Lowko, 3 is not a couple! 3 is only 2, no more, no less. Okay, alright, it's okay, it's okay. I try to read as many of the comments as I can, by the way. Trying to, most of the comments, I know a lot of YouTubers complain about their comment section and all that. I want to say that, like, my comment section, like 99.9% of the comments are awesome. Which is probably the reason I read them, to be honest. Like, there's a lot of people discussing the games and, you know, enjoying StarCraft in general. I do look at the YouTube comment as well, or the YouTube comments rather, on other videos from, for example, other games, and it's usually a bit of a train wreck. I think a lot of that, this is my other working theory, okay? I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the StarCraft audience, we're kind of old, right? Like, say you're going to the average comment section on a Minecraft video, your average viewer is probably at least a decade younger than the average StarCraft content. If you go to an average Fortnite video, I assume that the average viewer is probably going to be about 15. Which, yeah, apparently kids are toxic is what I'm saying. No, but, yeah, well, actually, yes. Generally speaking, at least the StarCraft community, very, very lovely. Very nice. Anyways, we've got a big attack here from Hero. What exactly is this going to achieve? Well, he wants to kill this base here at the 6 o'clock position. Dark, though, has got a good economy, and he's been making units here for quite a while already. This proxy gateway is going to allow Hero to warp in reinforcements much quicker. And is he going to be able to get enough units out on the battlefield to actually kill this base? He's done 8 workers worth of damage, which is not bad at all. He's kept, yeah, other than a single Oracle, basically all of those units alive. All of the important units anyway. Spire coming up once again for Dark. So Dark basically making mass Ling here to defend and then save up gas for Mutas. I actually kind of like that idea. I've been playing a lot of mass Muta myself in my own games, and it's actually been going really well. You can't really walk out too far here as the Zerg, because those stasis wards are scary, but I've got a feeling that this attack is mostly held, right? I don't really see a situation. Oh, you gotta be careful though. You really do need a detector if you want to move out and you don't know where the stasis wards are at. Anyways, 4th base coming up all the way up north. Dark's even been sneaking a couple of drones in his area and taking the gases here right away too. If this gets scouted by Hero, I think it's a pretty clear-cut giveaway that this is going to be a Muta transition. Queen's waiting over here for the oracles. Lovely work. It's still scary, though. If he decides to make a big round of Mutas right now, there's always going to be that moment where if the Protoss player here just keeps on warping in more and more Stalkers, right, that they just march up the ramp and you've just invested like 2,000 resources in Mutas, they're not going to really be helpful against this Stalker army. You really want to be sending them across the map. Yeah, this could be a little bit awkward. +1 flyer attacks is even coming up right now. The +1 flyer is a big indicator that Dark wants to go mass Muta. Now, when is he brave enough to start them up, right? So he's just slowly droning up this base. Still just getting in a stupid amount of gas. 4th Nexus here in the meantime at the top of the map has also finished up. Yeah, so even though he's had the Spire here for a bit, he wants to push this army back for good before he commits to a Mutalist transition. I think right now would be the time. Yep. Okay. 13 Mutas. Fired up right away. I love this, by the way, from Hero. Going for an incredibly quick 5th base. But what are the odds that Zerg is going to scout this? Especially that expansion over there in the top left. Normally not taken until the center base and the one on the right side are taken. But none of that is happening in this particular game so far. So Hero's sneaking out of base, but in a location where Zerg is not likely to scout it. We, by the way, are going to go up to 20 Mutas here. We've got like 21 Mutas here in just a moment, and that is a lot. At this point, Hero has not seen it. So if these Mutas suddenly flap their little wings towards the other side of the map, he could be in a lot of trouble, because those Mutas can actually tear apart mineral lines, and they can even fight Stalker reinforcements. Hero shading forward here, trying his very best to scout this out. He does not know. 21 Mutas, okay. Now they have to be shown. Yeah, he's got to spot them right here, because he needs to use them defensively. Good control right here by Hero, by the way. Roach Warren does end up falling. We have more Mutas coming up. If you don't respect the Mutas, by the way, they are going to tear apart your bases eventually, because Zerg will always have an option to just go for a full-on counterattack. So they don't actually have to fight your army. When you have enough Mutas, you can just do the base race. So we're actually going up to 30 Mutas now. All the gas is dumped into the Mutalist. And 30 Mutas is enough to contest this army. For sure. Especially with Zerglings, Roaches, Ravagers for support. Okay. Mutas feeling ambitious. They do have their +1 arrow weapons done. More Stalker reinforcements, though, are showing up. This is not your common Zerg army. Normally, we see like 5 Mutas to like 8 Mutas, maybe 12 Mutas to harass. This is a fighting Muta army. You know what? Hero is not actually going to go into any Phoenix play. He doesn't have Archons. He doesn't have Storm. He's just going to double down on Stalkers. Okay, this is an overextension from Zerg. Don't think you want to be in an area where Protoss can blink underneath you like that. 10 Mutas have already gone down. 29 Stalkers, though. This base in the top left may actually be Hero's saving grace here, because Dark still assumes that this is 4-base Protoss, and that decision-making here is very critical. If he doesn't realize that this is another base for Protoss, he could be in a world of trouble. He's at a significant supply advantage right now, though. Do love to see that. Okay, Roach's Ravagers, yeah, they get caught off guard. There's a lot of Stalkers running around, but here's that Mutalist counterattack. They're gonna kill the Cybercore. Without a Cybercore, he can't make Stalkers. Cybercores actually take a while to produce as well. There's nothing else available for the Protoss player to shoot up. Keep in mind, though, that even though it's scary to base raise a Zerg, Protoss can always recall. We do have the Mutas just going to town. Okay, it's just a full-on base race scenario here. He can recall, but it is a scary thing to do against this many Mutas. There's about as many Mutas as there are Stalkers available right now. Now the base in the top left-hand corner finally gets spotted. Hero, in the meantime, is tearing apart his opponent's natural. He's tearing apart his opponent's third. And I don't think that that base at the bottom is going to be too far behind. A few Zerglings in the main base just nibbling away at whatever they can as well. 54 drones have gone down. 55 probes have gone down. 43 workers for the Zerg as well. He's gonna come back home. Yeah, Protoss at this point is very split up, so I don't actually mind it. He's thinking about coming back home. A little bit of indecisiveness right there from Dark. Keep in mind that the win condition in a game of StarCraft 2 is to destroy all of your opponent's structures, and as far as structures go, there's not really that many remaining anymore here for our Zerg player. Normally, mutas are very fast when it comes to a base race scenario, but I don't really see exactly how Dark is going to be able to win if he decides to go straight for the structures. He really needs to bring all of those mutas back home. The Lair is in trouble. The spawning pool is going to be right after that. I feel like the gases, I mean, they're also part of the units, of course, and the structures that need to be killed. They're not going to be too far behind. All the Stalkers being brought back in one big ball. Only the Zealots here remain in this area, which I actually think is excellent right now for Hero. Hero's got, well, a bit of a stronger army here overall, if I'm not mistaken. As long as he micros the weakened Stalkers to the back, I mean, he could definitely blink them a little bit better. A few mutas apparently distracted. There's definitely enough Protoss units available right now. Hero is chasing these Mutalisks down. And with that, he's the winner of the Korean StarCraft League number 16.